Episode 1. I've got some special guests today. I've got the Teriyaki Boys.
Teriyaki Boys!
Just a couple of them though. So this is the first episode of the podcast, so I'm kind of just going to go over a couple things about myself and what you guys can look forward to for the podcast. But yeah, so I'm the host, Cody Mason, and just been an idea of mine to create a podcast like this for a couple months. There's a lot of like people doing vlogs and stuff, and you kind of see what those people are about, but none of them are really into the same community and the same culture that we are, and we're into the stance community and stance culture and lifestyle. So I'm kind of going to touch base on that, and my key goals for this is to kind of bring out the personal side of it, because a lot of what you see in the stance community and culture is on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube. And you don't really see, you just see snapshots, and I think there's a lot more to it than what people actually see. So I'm going to bring out kind of what it's about and stuff like that. But a little bit of background on myself. I've been into cars for quite some time. Obviously started out with video games, and sort of my family was into cars. And got my first like real car to start modifying like 6 years ago. Got a Miata, I still own it. It's a dedicated wheel-to-wheel NASA race car. And then sort of have always been interested in stance culture and the lifestyle, but just recently, within the past 2 years or so, really took feet first dive. Is that the right word? I dove head first into the real like stance community, picking up an FRS. And since then, I don't regret it. It's fun, but yeah, just like the background on it and the lifestyle that it brings and the people that it brings is most important for mostly everybody. So through it, I've been able to meet. Actually, I think I met Martin before I even had the FRS. Far before I had the FRS.
That's very unfortunate.
I've been friends with Martin for quite a while, but yeah, so these are the Teriyaki Boys, and this is what the podcast is. Again, I'm the host, Cody Mason, and I don't know if you guys want to go through and kind of introduce yourselves one at a time, and then we'll kind of really get into what we really want to talk about. So
I guess I'll go first. My name is Martin. Gosh, I don't even know where to begin. Like Cody said, I'm one of the Teriyaki Boys. I'm one of the 4 people that host a local show in Kentucky called Southern Roots. How that came about is I just met various people from Bowling Green, Louisville, and Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, and the idea came about when I was just hanging out with some friends and homies, and it was one of those things where I always hung out with people in the prospective cities, but I never like got to travel to see them, and so it was one of those things where you might live in Bowling Green, but would you ever go to Cincinnati to go see a car show? Or would you ever, with you being in Northern Kentucky, Florence, would you ever drive to Bowling Green to go hang out at like wherever their local spots are? No. So it was one of those things where back in 2013, teamed up with Eric Hasseth and Ryan Miller and Hunter, and it was one of those things like, hey, we're sick and tired of our local scene, so let's just create one gigantic, I guess, meet and see how it goes. And like 70 people just showed up. We were like, oh, this is cool. Like, it is what it is. It was at EP Time Sawyer Park. We had no permits, no insurance. It was all just like right there at the moment. We could have got kicked out at any single moment because people are doing burnouts. People were doing like rev ups and stuff like that. But it lasted like from 12 to 5. So that was really impressive. But we never thought we would ever do it again. We were just kind of like, oh, that was fun, while it lasted. Like, maybe we could do it again. And then not even like a week later, people were like, oh my god, that was so much fun, let's do it again. And here we are 5 years later, going to 2018, super stoked. Just taking a step back, like we would have never thought, like in our wildest dreams, that we'd be traveling around the state of Kentucky doing this kind of stuff. And at least for myself, I wasn't always into the stance scene. When I was 16 years old, I was hanging out at like Tinseltown parking lot, and sometimes people would race, but we'd mostly just mess around and goof off. Like I remember one July 4th weekend, we just like bought a bunch of fireworks and like we couldn't blow it up in neighborhoods because like I guess there was rules and regulations for that. So we went to Tinseltown parking lot and like we would do the dumbest things like we would turn mortars upside down and blow them up in the tubes, or take off sticks from bottle rockets and just light them and just like hope for the best that we weren't going to get hit in the face. But my background behind cars started very humbly, you know, just hanging out in parking lots and stuff like that, and then eventually meeting people like Eric Wisdom over here, just going to like random spots, you know, for races and stuff like that, either at Hobby Lobby, 11th, 13th Street downtown, or something like that. And then I took a hiatus off of cars. I don't know why. I wanted to get into trucks for some odd reason. I had about 3 trucks, and then I realized that I can't afford to drive a truck because it's expensive, and I'm just a city kid, so I wasn't hauling anything. I wasn't working on a farm. I wasn't towing a boat or anything. So I got back into Civic and got into pretty much the stand scene ever since then. So it's pretty much my background.
Cool stuff. All right, Wiz.
I'm Eric Wisdom. A little background about me, I guess. I've known Martin for quite some time. We've been pretty good friends, even since before the whole Southern Roots thing and everything. I definitely remember the first show. That was pretty, it was like, what, 70 cars, something like that?
70 cars at most.
Yeah, I mean, just to see from your all's perspective, from all the work that you and Eric and Ryan have all put into it from day one. I mean, it's amazing to see what you all have done and how much it has expanded and grown and how well established it has become. But less about you guys. All right? A little more about me. Okay. But like, as far as the whole cars go, I've been into it since I was a pretty young lad. I would say like my first car meet, I was probably 8 years old. I have an older brother that's 10 years older than me. He got his license when he was 18, so I rode around with him, and I remember seeing my first NSX at that age, 240 SX, you know, all that stuff. And I guess it kind of lingered with me for a little bit, but then I guess right around middle school is when it really hit hard that like I really liked cars and I wanted to know how the engines worked and just how to do maintenance and everything else. I mean, building model cars as a child and everything and painting them, and which is what I do now currently as a career. But I don't know, it kind of stuck. I enjoy it. I mean, you know, obviously there's other hobbies that we have out there, but the strongest one for me is definitely cars. So, you know, just a little touchy subject.
Yep. Alright, what's up? My name's Eric Passett. I guess my background, I'm from Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, and I just got introduced to the car scene, you know, a couple years back. I wasn't really into it. I guess when I was probably, you know, 13, 14, whatnot, I just started off there. I met a couple friends up here in Northern Kentucky, and we went to Bump Spot. That was my first meet. And if you're from around there, you guys know what Bump Spot is. If you don't, it's all right. It's
gnarly.
It's pretty hectic up there. You know, a couple people come out to Bump Spot. To like,
there's actually a famous clip of what is it?
The
BMW,
the wreck of the E30.
The E30.
Yep. If you guys seen that, that's
popped up the other day.
That was a Bump Spot.
Yeah, it just popped up on my Facebook the other day.
And then Bump Spot was where I met like most of my friends. You know, the car scene is like where most of my friends, you know, where I met them, and they're like my family now. So, and then that started out, and I went to Louisville for another meet, probably around 2013 or so. Yeah. And it was called All Up Driving Slow, and that's how I met Martin.
Yeah, so shout out to Justin Nava.
Yeah, shout out.
Justin Nava actually, I met Justin Nava like a while back, and that's how I met a lot of the people in, actually everybody in Southern Roots. There was a iHeart Driving Slow meet / like SoKY meet in Bowling Green, and that's how I met Ryan. That's how I met Hunter. I think that's
so. That's really how Southern Roots started as a whole, right? So there was like the Soki crew that did Bowling Green, and then what was the Louisville?
The Louisville one. it was a small company called Taylor Lifestyle. Which
that's right. And then what was the Northern thing?
And I heard Driving Slow. Is that something?
It was
I heard Driving Slow, right?
It's bigger in like different areas. Like I think
Florida too.
Yeah.
Florida is really big.
Yeah, and they still do freaking awesome meats. I've been watching their videos, and congrats to them.
And the Eric at the time was still doing Soto.
Yeah, Soto Flush Styles. I started
Right.
that out for like, I think a year or two.
Still got some slaps available.
So yeah, I got a whole bunch of slaps available if you guys want some.
See, that's how Southern Roots really started. Was
Yeah.
these
3 crews.
Yeah, these 3 crews kind of come together and just make this whole like regional meat system,
Pretty much.
which actually works out well now because I don't know what year, how many years is it? 5 years in a row
it's
now.
5 years.
Yeah.
They do 3 shows a year: spring, summer, fall. Spring is in Bowling Green. Summer's in Louisville. Fall is in
Florence.
Cincinnati, Florence area. And the spring one's coming up here within the next couple weeks.
March
17th.
March
17th.
So March 17th is the spring one in Bowling Green. I think they've got NCM Motorsports Park. They've got the pad rented out for that, along with Binge Tokyo, the track day.
It's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a cool time. So like, I don't know, the past ones have always been sick. Like,
Yeah.
I've never not had fun at a Southern Roots, and I've been to basically every single one of them without a car, except for maybe I think like
Summer. You made it to last
Right.
summer with the car.
I did. I made it to last summer with a car which was at the Sportsdrome, right?
Is that the sports show?
Yeah.
You were in track stance at that point. You
Yeah.
just took it out of Stancy
That's
stance.
right. Yeah, I had just finished it and done a couple of track days. But I think like now that you mentioned it, that it was at Tom Sawyer Park, the very first one in like 2013. Was it like early spring?
It was early spring.
Dude,
Early spring
Yeah.
or early
See,
summer.
I honestly
I'm not
think
sure.
I might have stopped by.
Shut up! No way.
Because like we used to, so what we used to do, you'd go to, I mean, you guys know, you go to Cars and Coffee,
Yeah.
and then what you used to do is you go to Cars and Coffee, and then you go to Tom Sawyer for a meet. I think it was one of those deals, and I just didn't understand because like Ryan Miller was there with his Miata. That was the first time I ever met Ryan Miller.
Shut
And
up.
I had still been
Same here.
driving I had still been driving my blue Miata as a street car, and I just kind of walked over to his car because his was like more aggressively stanced than mine was. Mine was like not aggressive at all. I was doing track days in it,
Yeah.
but I still,
Yeah.
you know, it still looked like
Yeah, yeah.
I had it like lower than normal people do for their
Yeah,
track
yeah.
cars. So it was like sort of aggressive, but his was like really aggressive. You know, 195 stretched on 9s and
Like
obviously
negative 8 camber.
Yeah, like big camber.
It's ridiculous.
And, like decent fitment, and I kind of walked over to it and I just like did a circle around it. And then I like looked Ryan in the face, and I just went back to my car and left. And Ryan was like, "Man, that guy's a dick." He like tells me that story frequently today. So yeah, that's like the first time, and I guess I didn't even know that was a Southern Roots meet or the first
It wasn't
one.
Yeah, that was
really
the
called
first one.
Southern Roots.
It wasn't
So
even
it
called-
was just
yeah.
a spur of the moment kind of
We
thing.
call it
Triple car crew meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the triple crew meet. We didn't even have an official name for it. And I remember I drove down to Bowling Green and I met up with Ryan and Hunter, and we were literally just spitballing names. Like, we wanted to keep it like down south, so we were like, okay, Southern. Okay, cool. Well, we couldn't do Southern Fresh because Southern Fresh is a huge name and they had a big name behind them. And I forgot what it, Southern Meat, Southern something, and we were just like, this BS. Like, we can't handle this. Like, we have to get away from Southern. And then I can't remember if it was Ryan or Hunter that was like, what about Southern Roots? And I was just like, at first I was almost against it just because that sounds.
Well, that's how it always is.
Right.
You're like, that doesn't sound right. And then it just sticks.
It just sticks, and like, I mean,
It's like a nickname.
exactly.
Right, yeah.
And it's one of those things where like, both Ryan, Eric, and I have touched base on it on all of 2017's videos that Liam has done. Shout out to Liam.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Liam here on in a couple.
What's
That-
what's
that-
its Instagram?
LEP
LEP
underscore automotive.
Pretty much.
He does great work.
AKA the Wizard.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep going.
But we just like at first I wasn't about it, and then the more and more we thought about it, we were like bringing it back to its roots, like, you know, actually making a car show for, by car people for car people. Like, we can't stress that enough. And the biggest thing that we could take away from this, and the something that I'll add on later about Violent, like Southern Roots is like, it's a family. You know, people talk about car families and stuff like that, and yeah, they hang out, they have barbecues maybe once a month, blah, 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 blah. Like, Southern Roots is so spread out, like, not all of us can see each other, but when we finally do see each other, nothing has changed. We're still goofy, we're still, like, doing the same crazy shit that we did, like, when we saw each other last, and there's nothing that there's no other people that I would choose to be a part of than the crew that we have right now, and, you know, I'd do anything for them in a heartbeat, and I know they would do anything for me in a heartbeat. and
it's a great family.
It's a great family.
It's all love.
And I feel like that's a huge part of this car culture that's missing is like a sense of family. And I know that everybody wants to be a part of something and whatnot. And going back to Violent, like, don't get me wrong, like I remember when Violent kind of sort of happened. I remember when Ben Garden actually showed up at your meet.
Yeah.
Was it 2014 or 15?
I think it was
Lawrence Sears.
2014, I believe.
14. So I don't know if you heard the story. Ben and Daniel met at our meet.
Right.
Yeah. So Ben was one of the first people that showed up, and he was like, "Hey, I'm into cars," and he held himself really professionally. So that's why I was more inclined to help him. But when he first rolled up, I was like, who's this guy? Like, we roped off everything. How did he get through? Like, I'm just going to bounce him out of here. And then I was talking to him, and I was like, okay, he's a cool guy. He just finished up his BMW. It was white on the Vossens.
Yeah.
So
still one of my favorites.
I know, I still miss that setup. But, like, I remember, like, him being so nice, and he mentioned something about putting on a car show later on. I was like, in my mind, I was like, man, we're at a car show right now, and I'm kind of busy, but hey, yeah, let's link up later. I would love to work with you. You seem like you're a well-to-do guy, you know what you're talking about, and you're not a jackass. That's the biggest thing. So, set him up, I think, at the Rotten Collective booth, and then for some odd reason, I think Daniel met him that day. It might be a little bit after that, but...
Well, Daniel gets around, so he's probably...
more ways than one. I'm not going to comment on that.
He's probably hanging out at the Rotten Collective booth.
Probably. But yeah, like, that's how pretty much, like, we got our foot in the door with Violent. Like, I'm not bannered or anything like that, but every single one of the Violent members, like, it's like I picked up another brother. Right. And the same thing, like, with Southern Roots and Violent, like, it's just one of those things where, like, people see a persona, and they see, like, what we do in music, or in the videos, in Liam's videos, or how we act at shows, and, people might think that we're cocky, or people might think that, we conduct ourselves, like, above other people. Like, if you really think about it, like, if you actually get to know us, we're very humble people. We don't have any reason to brag about anything. If, like, in any of the shows, you'll hear us talk about how, the shows wouldn't be a show without the people there. Like, we would just be 8 idiots in a parking lot just looking at each other's cars. Like, just like any other, like, Louisville meet that's going on right now. Shots fired.
Pretty much on Thursday nights.
Yep. Every Thursday night.
Alright, kind of taking like a
sidestep.
Do you guys remember when Dirty 13 used to put on the parking garage meets downtown?
Yes.
Those midnight parking garage
I have a picture.
Yeah.
I bought a kooky S14 and it had an RB25 in it, and I bought it because I was like, I have a wonderful FA5 and it ran reliably, everything was great on it, and so I was like, alright, I'll buy an RB25, and that thing just did not run the way it needed. And it was one is 240, that's where I messed up. And two, it was a swap motor with the RB25 in it, and it was like every single time I drove it, something went wrong. And of course, this day in particular, I drove it out on like a Friday night to meet out with Dirty 13 and everybody, and I love that whole crew, nothing but love for them. And that thing just could not stop overheating. Like, I couldn't make it from one traffic light to another without something like just absolutely catastrophically wrong with it. And I remember we did a parking, it was around the time they just exhausted every parking garage in the area where they just got kicked out. Like,
well, they were doing them at the Bats.
Yep.
And then I think it was either before or after is when they moved to the
Humana parking lot.
Yeah.
But
that didn't last long.
Right. Yeah, it just kept going. Like, they just kept kicking everyone out so often, and it got to a point where this particular night it was storming, and so like we couldn't we had to be in a parking garage. Right. But they're like, you can't be in a parking garage anymore. We've done told you. And I'm like, this is the first time I brought my car out, and it's the night that it storms. And of course it's a 240, so there's no AC. Right. Power steering is leaking because the rack, it's a power steering, so it leaks terribly. But the guy that was there, it was super, super cool. And we even showed him how, like, one of the electrical wires loved to, like, short out. We're like, watch, all we have to move is the wire and the fan turns on, and if we move it again, it turns off. So I have to drive while holding it or it turns off, and there's no way I can do that. And the guy was like, all right, well, unless we'll let your car cool off before you have to jet out. It took like 2 hours for that car cooled off and I could drive home. So because of that, I was able to we were able to like sit there and like hang tight, but it was just like one of those like random stories that like, cause you're car people, like you hang out with your car people.
Right.
But it was like, cause of Dirty 13, like a lot of people had like random, car, like random zip ties, like random shit in their car. They put it like together.
They were every Saturday or every Friday night for. It was only a couple weeks. Is when they did the garage meets, but it was like definitely like Tokyo Drift style vibe. But and it wasn't that many people there.
No,
but it was still like
it was just the solid few. It was just the same car. It was when Blake had the guy that
owned S13.
Yeah, this blue right-hand.
It was the blue S13. Yeah, but and when he decided to get that thing sideways, he got it sideways very well. Like he was very consistent.
So shout out to Dirty 13. So that's Blake Doggerel, James Thomas, and Danny McNamara. Sorry, Danny, I love you.
Definitely a core group of individuals. Like
we call you White Danny.
Promoting the Louisville stance. I feel like they're one of the core groups.
Absolutely.
They've supported us since.
They've been
like
to every show of ours.
Of Louisville cars.
Like even like our very first show, the Triple Cream Meat, I think he was the only person vending. There was no other clothing. It was just him and then our booth. And we were just like, okay, cool. So yeah, like shout out to Jerry 13. Like they've been dedicated. They've been down for Southern Roots since day one. So we wouldn't be anything without them for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to all the support.
Well, yeah, of course, shout out to all the support. I mean,
but these are people that were our friends before
the show.
Anything was going on.
Like, I mean, oh god, I mean, I can't even begin to list off. Like, obviously, shout out to Dedicated. They've been, they just hopped on board. Slammed Enough, Dream Raps. God.
Oh yeah, Dream Raps has been to most of our.
I mean, he wanted to name off everything. Just the point.
Like, there's
Drum Collective.
We've really there's been so many companies in the mix. So
and like now that we talk about it, it's crazy to see the different companies that are just brought up, just on the fact that to like bring people together. Like not even just Southern Roots where you guys just put on meats and sell merch, but like Killer Coatings and Dream Raps and like those people, they've like literally started businesses based on the fact that they like have friends in the car community and they're like doing well.
Yeah, local business. It definitely helps local business.
So it's definitely cool to see that side of it.
Like, it was really cool for me. Like now that I work for them, it's not like the I guess the new part like kind of wore off. But like when I found out that Dynasty wanted to vent at our show, I was like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Like,
So Martin works at Dynasty, which is probably one of the best. In my eyes, one of the best tuning shops in the Midwest, if not on the East Coast. But they, from my understanding, you guys really work on like VQ motors a lot?
Yeah, we're very known for our VQ motors. Hal actually is rebuilding a 370Z right now. We're trying to take back the highest horsepower 370Z and the fastest in the quarter mile. And then he also, what people don't know is that he has a Lexus as well with a 2JZ in it that makes 1400 horsepower. So it's super weird that I'm in both cultures now. So I'm one of the few people that put on a Stancy show, but I also work for a company that strictly does drag racing. Not strictly, but like mostly drag racing. So
in-house is mostly all drag racing.
Mostly.
And then like I'm a customer there. I get my not my dyno tunes, but I have to get my dyno. Basically, I have to
baseline dyno.
I have to get my baseline dyno numbers for my Miata every season for NASA. So I go and do dyno pools there. I would get a dyno tune, but he doesn't tune Mega Squirt.
Unfortunately. Come on, Al, what are you doing?
I don't blame him. That stuff's garbage. But anyways,
more so than the companies and stuff like that, I think the funnest part about Southern Roots is everything that happens before the show. Obviously, the show is probably the best part, just because we get to see all of our friends and stuff like that. But anytime that we had a pre-meet or a pre-party before Spring Soro, it's always been a blast. Yeah. So rip on the BG Stance House. If anybody that's ever been to a Spring Southern Roots and actually got to party with us, they'll tell you all the stories.
Or I hate to say it, but or the import line shows.
Or
parties was.
Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I still have bad love for Import Alliance. Like, Don Napier puts on a pretty good show. I mean, I know that Import Alliance has definitely been.
The volume is huge.
The volume's huge, and I mean, to be honest with you, if I ever got the chance to work with him and had to help him out with that show, I'd be overwhelmed. Like, I'm overwhelmed as it is with putting on our shows. So, but yeah, like BG. There's a whole segment behind the BG Stance House, and for those of you who don't know, it's the BG Stance House stands for Bowling Green Stance House, and it was a kind of like a mock-up of, what was it, the Maryland Stance House, or
I think the guys that we kind of stole the name from is the NC Stance House.
The NC Stance House.
Mark Davis
Yep.
and a few other those guys, which they're still in the scene. I think they've kind of moved on from Stancey stuff, but they're the ones that kind of like gave us the name because they're at North Carolina Stance House, so we took BG Stance House. It kind of just fit. But it was me, Ryan Miller, Hunter Madison lived there initially, and I guess just me and Ryan Miller were the core. The core like car guys there. But yeah, so it's
I have to tell this embarrassing story of Wiz. So I think it was Fall Import Alliance last year, and
no, 2 years.
2 years?
Was it 2 years ago? Or was
2 years
it?
ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago. So Wiz got a little bit too litty too early, and
too much too soon.
Too much too soon. Too much sauce. Too much sauce. So at 9 o'clock, he was passed out on the stairs by the porch, and we were partying. Blah 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 blah. Unfortunately, he had to pull the trigger and had to relieve himself.
Orally.
What goes down must come up.
Oh, yeah. It definitely came back up, and we put him. I don't know where you were. You were hammered. Were you there?
I don't know. Was I there?
I don't remember.
For Import Alliance? I don't remember much either.
No, I don't think I was there that year.
I don't remember much either.
But so we put Wiz inside, and we put him in the living room, or not the living room, it was the kitchen table. The kitchen table. And keep in mind, like, anybody that was there that night, that kitchen was packed. Like, there was
standing room.
So many.
Standing room only. There was 40 people in a room that should only fit 10 comfortably, and it was packed. I don't know how he passed out. Apparently, he passed out for a little bit, and then I remember Sam Idle. Shout out to Sam.
That was the first night I ever met. No, it was the first weekend I ever met Sam. I met him the first.
Well, first weekend he met Wiz too. So I was talking to Sam outside, and we were just drinking a beer, and then out of nowhere, he looked like he just came rise from the dead. Like, he looked like a zombie. And the first thing that came out of my mouth, and Sam will attest to the story, was like, "Oh my God, Wiz, you're alive?" And that's how Sam met you.
I think that's like an every weekend thing, though.
Oh,
really?
That
has been lately.
Yeah. Well, what, for us in Louisville?
Yeah, definitely.
Teriyaki boys get litty, but I definitely cannot hang with these guys, so I usually stay sober.
I can't hang with myself.
You're a hot mess.
I'm 2 beers. I'm 2 beers now, man.
But yeah, the BG Stance House was probably one of my most fond memories. Like, I'm gonna miss that house to the test of time. Like, that's where I met a lot of the violent people. That's where a lot of us from Southern Roots, that's pretty much where we kicked off the year. We haven't seen each other in a while. We're all either building cars or we're just busy working.
Stupid Cold is usually the last show of the year, so there's kind of like a 3-month
gap
waiting period
before we even see each other. Yeah, exactly. Like Cody said, there's a 3-month gap before we even see each other, and it's super nice because it's starting to get a little bit warmer outside. But I mean, when you have enough alcohol in you, it just seems warm out in general. So it is what it is. But yeah, just the amount of debauchery that would happen. I just remember I forgot how we got on the subject about it, but we all were just sitting on the porch, just chilling, drinking, and then next thing you know, we're all doing burnouts on that one street.
Yeah.
Just we all had an idea and we all just ran with it, and that's terrible when it comes to car guys. You give one of us an idea, we all do it. We can't just be chill.
Especially burnouts.
Oh yeah.
Someone has to do a better burnout than the burnout before.
Yep. And then someone blows a tire.
And then someone else gets
blows a tire, or the cops get called.
Yeah.
Something.
Dude, out of everything that happened at that house, the cops never got called.
Well, I wonder why, because your neighbors, we can talk about it now, so.
Right, so now that we moved out, the neighbors that were directly behind us, we're 95 to 98% sure they were drug dealers. Okay, so it was a real run. The house, we rented the house, it was in a pretty, not a bad part of town, but a run-down part of town. The people that lived there were still good people, except for the people behind us. But basically, they're like some shitty car would pull in, like some like old ragged Ford Explorer would pull in.
And be there for like 10 minutes?
Be there for someone walking in, be there for 10 minutes, get in, and drive away. So we're like, after like a year, we were like definitely a drug dealer. So we kind of like, and they even stole our garbage can.
Why would you steal a garbage
What?
can?
Yeah, I don't know. But
At least steal something nice.
right,
Damn.
right. So we ended up just, I don't know, the cops never got called, so.
Amazingly.
Amazingly.
Because they don't want the cops
And
nearby.
well, okay, and like to expand on that, the people, Bowling Green's a big college town. We lived not even a mile off Western Kentucky University's campus, and the people across from us were also,
Bros.
yeah, they were bros. They were also college students. People next to us were rarely home, and then when they were, they never showed their face.
And wasn't there like a house full of illegals?
We're pretty sure they were illegal.
You're one to speak.
Caddy corner. We're pretty sure.
Hey, I have my green card.
Oh,
okay?
sure.
So yeah. Anyways, throughout this whole thing, it's like we lived there for 3 years.
Solid 3
A
years.
solid 3 years, and we didn't throw that many parties. It was just a lot of like, like in the grand scheme of things.
Okay,
maybe
well,
five.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
five.
Really? Because
And
that's not
with-
what it sounds like sitting over here.
Well, it's just about having, we'd sit and have a good time on the deck and on the porch and stuff. And there was definitely a lot of times when people would come over and we'd just hang out. But as far as like bangers, I mean, 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4. I can't.
The biggest ones were Halloween, Fall IA, Spring Sorrow, and that's pretty much it. Those were the
Right.
3 bangers.
But other than, I mean, people would come in for the weekend and just hang out.
Right.
But yeah, so, and we had, dude, that house was amazing. I wish Ryan was here because we could talk about it.
Yeah.
But it was like a decent house. Obviously, it was pretty older. The rent was only $1,000.
That was a
And
steal.
We split it between 4 people, so it was like basically living for nothing.
Yeah.
But anyways, it had a detached 2-car garage that we could fit my Miata, Ryan's E30, Ryan's E36, and when he had his Jeep. We could fit all 4 cars in the garage. So it's like this massive garage. We built it up. We did workbenches. We made seats and everything.
good
We
setup.
we just chill out in the garage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of missed that.
I think it
He's
was.
going back.
Yeah, no, you're going real back. I think it was Fall IA. I showed up like stupid late. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then like Cody and Daniel and Ryan were outside, and I was just like, I
You
just
were pulling the
arrived.
motor.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's when I met Sam Eichel for the first time. Him and I don't remember the other person that was there.
Corey.
Maybe who's an
Yeah.
photographer.
Yeah.
So they like called Daniel. They go, hey, yo, dude, we're here. And Daniel's like, we're in the garage. And they're like, it's like 3 in the morning. Like, they walk in, and me and Daniel are timing ourselves to pull an air-cooled Volkswagen motor out of my old Carmagia that I had. And we pulled it out in like literally 14 minutes. And it was only held on with 3 bolts basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyways, yeah. So Sam like photographed the moment, and then it's cool and whatever. But
And then my favorite moment. This is how I met Sid Nguyen, by the way. I remember there was no place for us to sleep.
Go back. How do you say that last name?
Nguyen,
Nguyen.
I think.
Win.
Nguyen.
It's like win.
Nugent.
Yeah, Nugent.
Nagayan. No, I'm
Something like that. Something Vietnamese.
I've always wanted to hear an Asian pronounce it.
Oh my god!
I've never had
Super racial.
For real though, I got like four or 5 friends up in Cincinnati with the same last name.
Are they all related?
Nope.
No.
They're not related
That's
at
like
all.
the Asian Smith, or they Johnson.
They probably do nails though.
They're
Yeah, they all do nails.
Sin doesn't do
Yeah,
nails,
same
but Sin's in IT, so that's another Asian like job. Anyways, I remember like Wiz and I didn't have a place to sleep, and Eric actually got the last spot in
This was
the
at
living
BG
room.
Stan's house?
At the BG Stan's house, and I was just like, oh crap, where am I gonna sleep? And like the kitchen floor was sticky, so I was like, damn it.
It
So
remained sticky.
oh yeah, it always remains sticky. So like I was pretty much halfway in the living room and halfway in the kitchen, and then like an hour later, Sin woke me up, but I thought like I couldn't see because it was just really dark. I didn't have my glasses on, and I was like, "Who's that?" And I thought he said Sid, but it was actually Sin. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you can take my bed." I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then I saw Sin at the track, and he was like, "Hey, how did you enjoy my bed?" And you can only imagine what was going on in my head. I was like, "Why is this guy telling me or asking me how his bed was? What did I do last night?" But yeah, just anytime that anybody talks about the BG Stance House, it's always been a blast.
You left me on the floor.
Oh, boo-hoo.
I was still on the floor the next morning. Like, where's Martin at? What happened?
Because I couldn't wake you up. Nobody else was up.
We had like, it had to be like
There was a lot.
27 people or something in the house. It was 3-bedroom house with the old garage that had been converted, that the attached garage had been converted into a bedroom, and we had the spare bedroom in there with one like queen size mattress. And obviously like my bed, and then I don't know if we had the new roommates living with us at the time. So,
No.
Okay, we still had Bobby maybe.
Maybe Bobby.
No, we had Mike living with us.
Okay, yeah.
We had Mike living with us, and so Mike. opted to not stay there. that weekend. Mike he's like a more mature, older gentleman. He's like 40, I don't know. But anyways, sorry, Mike. So he opted not to stay there. So I think some people slept in his bed, and then Ryan and Tessa slept in their bed. But there was literally air mattresses and sleeping bags everywhere.
I slept in the same room with Luna, which he sounds like a freight train. I don't have any room to talk because I snore, but this guy snores louder than I do. And then I think Jerry Carell was in the room as well. So yeah, that was a crazy night, crazy weekend. Yeah, to say the least. But I just remember this, dude. I guess this is gonna be raw and uncut, but I just remember there was 2 DJs there, and there's this girl.
Oh, Nipples.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's a good name.
No,
that's what we called her. We called her Nipples.
So a little background on this story. We were just having a good time and whatnot, and this girl came out of nowhere, and I was just like, oh, that's an interesting shirt. It was a fishnet shirt. She was wearing no bra. It's kind of cold outside, so they were poking out, and I was just like, there's no way. And then Cody.
Well, it was like one of those shirts that had like design on it, but the design I think was like meant to cover her nipples, but it just straight missed.
Straight missed. And then didn't we call her ombre? Because her hair.
Yeah, her hair was. She had extensions that were.
It was either Luna or Scrap. That was like, hey, yo, ombre.
Was she loving it?
No, she was hammer drunk. She was just looking for coke. Like no joke. She was literally going to.
Yeah, we made her sleep in her car. We didn't let her sleep in the house.
At some point, she asked me like several times, and I was like, "Do I look like a coke dealer?" And I was like, "You know what? Don't answer that." Never mind.
Just stopped caring.
We made her sleep in the car.
You could have gave her baking soda, and she would have snorted it.
God, please no.
So yeah, we brought like. Well, it was Caleb's friend was the DJ. Okay. And I don't know, they like just decided to bring this chick. I don't know, but
there's always that person.
So yeah, we made her sleep in the car because she was a little bit too crazy for the BG Stance house. If that even makes any.
Ooh, that makes sense. I don't think you can say that.
I understand, but I don't know.
And then, oh my gosh, I mean, we can say this now because Calvin's over 21.
Oh my god.
But so I remember one time Eric spent the night before Spring Soro, and he brought his cousin Calvin. And I think that was the first time Calvin ever drank?
Yeah.
So how old was your cousin back then?
He was probably 17.
So yeah, under the legal age. We don't condone this typically, but it happens. So yeah, all I remember was that he was doing the nene with a Bud Light box over his head.
That's fucking hilarious.
These guys like to party.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
So you're telling me it's Capri Suns weren't doing it no more?
No, it was all Sunny D from there on.
I mean, some people would say I'm an alcoholic, but I just like to drink.
You just love the taste of alcohol?
Yeah, I just...
Okay.
It's something better than juice,
you know? Jesus Christ.
No.
So yeah, I mean, this like kind of shows what the stance community can get. I mean, obviously, this is a little extreme.
Cars is what brought
cars is what brings us all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
half the time we don't even think about the fact that we give a shit. We give like any interest about cars. It just happens to be cars is what brought us to.
Yeah. So together. Like, I mean, even just like having friends in general. Like, I've met a lot of people through cars, and it's like, yo, let's go like do something this weekend that's completely not car related.
Yeah.
So perfect example. Like, I'm glad Cody touched base on that. Like, during the winter season, like nobody's doing meets or anything like that. I snowboard, so like every so often, you know, I'll try to meet up with Daniel if I can, or just take local people around here and go snowboarding. And usually it's a good time. We try not to wreck ourselves too bad, but some of us are a little bit more braver than others, so we try to send it and usually pay the price for that.
Just gonna send it. But yeah, so me and Kenzie went up last weekend to hang out with Daniel for his birthday, and we just went to the Newport Aquarium and just kind of hung out. So that's another thing that I mean just
stuff to kind of connect with people in other ways. Obviously, like I said, that's how I met you. Obviously, I had met Eric through the whole car.
So, fun fact, Cody, I don't know if you know this. Wisdom over here is actually a physicist.
No, I'm not gonna say
he's
physicist.
No, he's upset. So when you don't see him at car shows or when you don't see him at work, he actually thoroughly enjoys a good.
Well, we talk about the winter stuff. Whenever people hibernate in the winter, some people you like to snowboard, obviously, and my thing is touch on.
He loves
I love
recording.
astronomy. I'm a very introverted person. I enjoy my own company, so whenever in the wintertime, which is honestly the best times to see some of the things that I enjoy looking at in the night sky, that's something that I strive into as far as astronomy and physics and stuff. It's just a little simple hobby of mine. I'm not smart. I'm just knowledgeable. I know how to read a book.
Ask him about string theory.
No, we're not going to get into all that. Is this a car thing or is this a science
thing? It's just whatever. Wherever it goes, it goes.
So what about you, Eric?
What's up?
What are your
other hobbies other than cars and stuff?
Don't say anime. That's gonna
anime.
Stop.
Initial D. Oh no, really though.
He went back to cars in a way.
Other than cars, really, all I do is work. Most of the time I hang out with my family. I'm a big family man.
Your dog Iggy.
My dog Iggy. Shout out to her.
She's listening.
American Staff Bull Terrier. She's the prettiest thing. Family, I just keep myself busy hanging out with my family. I have probably 6 households in the same neighborhood, just going down the street, grubbing on food every Sunday, watching football and shit, so.
Don't y'all call yourself Yakuza or something?
No, oh my god. He looks like a Yakuza.
No, really though, we had we went to San Diego for my little cousin's birthday.
Meetup?
And I kid you not.
A family meetup?
Each uncle is his pole officer.
Right, oh my god.
Yes.
But yeah, we got a big ass family, Family's really important to us, I call my friends, my family's, Martin, Wiz, Cody, Danny, they're all family to me now. So
as of today.
Yeah, as of today.
Yesterday, not so much, but
like Cody was saying, we're all into independent different things outside of cars, and I remember the last time I was here, we were trying to put together Daniel's suspension. That was a nightmare. We did it in record time, by the way, but seeing that car crab walk 4 feet every which way.
Hey, I'm just saying it wouldn't have credible if I tried to do the unload.
Sorry, that's a little cocky now.
I'm just saying his eyeball alignment wasn't very good.
I'm not gonna touch that one.
Because I will say we just put it back to straight up after we drilled and slotted and installed all the controllers. We just put it back to 0 camber, and Kevin did the eyeball alignment, and Daniel was supposed to drive it home, but he just left it outside. I left, and I got here in the morning, and Daniel's car was parked outside. On the street.
Daniel was out and about somewhere, and then I got a call from him at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had to pick him up, drive him to my house. We slept, and then brought him this way.
Yeah. So he said the drive home was crazy.
Yeah.
So then he went and got it aligned, and then a few weeks later he bought his wheels. I went back up to Cincinnati to kind of help him rough in everything, and did the eyeball alignment on it, and it was a little bit towed out, but it was still good. It was he said it drove way better. And then since then I've done Taylor wainscots too.
Dope.
He said his eyeball alignment's pretty good.
Shots fired. But yeah, Cody over here, I think the reason why... Didn't you miss out on an enduro race after that? Or before that? Okay.
No,
you were just out riding?
Yeah, no, I went.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, on top of that, on top of his illustrious racing career, he just races for fun on dirt bikes, which...
Yeah, I just started recently. Just started doing dirt bikes.
And he's so modest too.
No, really, I over the past summer, really, spring, summer, got into that. So Kenzie's family is really big into that. So her dad kind of rubbed that off on me. So I started doing.
I feel like it wouldn't take too much, anyways, because you have like a racing.
anything like
has a motor in it.
Yeah.
You versus this person. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
It could be a foot race. We could do a foot race right now, and you'd be all about it.
Well, I don't run for fun. Put money on it, baby.
Oh, I thought you were talking about running from the cops. Okay, never mind.
Oh.
Well, that too, maybe.
That could be fun.
I've never run from the cops.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. No, ever.
We're gonna plead the fifth on that one.
But yeah, so what else?
But yeah, I guess to touch up on everything, I guess this just goes for anybody in the car scene. I mean, whether or not you are all about, you know, being yourself and being a lone wolf in the car scene, or if you want to be a part of something, you know, definitely do it the right way. Definitely, like, get to know the people that you're about to hang out with and stuff like that. Like, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that just care about the Instagram fame and whatnot. And honestly, you know, I've talked to Wiz about it. You know, Instagram fame, you know, it's very fun in the moment. It's very fun for those first 15 minutes, but after that, it becomes, you know, a chore. Sometimes it's not even worth it. You find out who your real friends are, versus who your fake friends are. So it's just one of those things where, you know, the car scene, at least here in Louisville, there is a bad rap. It's very cliquish, but it doesn't have to be, because, like, we're all in the same thing together. So, I mean, it's going to sound kind of hippie-ish when I say it like that, but, like, you know, we're all in the same car community together. Why not all get along? There's nothing wrong with, like, a little competition here and there, but at the end of the day, we're all still car people. So,
Yeah,
my
we're all people.
my biggest takeaway, or whoever's listening, the biggest takeaway that you could get from here is, you know, we all have to start somewhere. Not everybody knows what to do to a car immediately. No. Sometimes I see it on Fast and Furious, so like, oh, I want to add nitrous. They don't know any better. They just see it on the movie, and they're like, oh yeah, cool. It lasted in their car.
They think it's good to go like right off the moment. Like
right.
Like we looked at your Miata like right when we got here, and you were talking about all the problems the car had like right off the moment you did a test drive.
Right.
And it was so many, and if you didn't have any clue what you were doing, you would be in
like the guy I bought it from had.
Tell him about it.
So I got this. We got this Miata for. Well, I probably shouldn't say anything because we're kind of keeping it a secret till the next event.
That's fine.
Okay, but I'll say it anyway. So we got this. We got this car for this series called King of the Heap that we've been doing. Me, my dad, my brother, and one of my dad's friends, and we used to have a Neon that we've done the previous races in, and the Neon's transmission started to get a little wonky. So we ended up selling the Neon to another competitor, and then bought this other car. We went to pick it up, and the way like he started, the ad said it ran, but not very well. So we went to pick it up. He started it. Well, first he texted me and said, "Hey man, I'm just trying to get it started. Like the battery's dead." So he's like, got it started, and then it was like warm when I got there. I was like, he must have just been driving around, like, you know, making sure everything was still good. But he started up, and like coolant was just mist. Coolant was just spraying out of the back of the head, like where the head gasket is. I was like, head gasket. And he said I had a crank wobble, which is real notorious for early 90 Miatas and 91 Miatas. And so I was like, maybe it has a little bit of crank wobble, because the crank does wobble. I mean, it like literally wobbles.
Jesus.
But I was like, definitely head gasket is where the power loss is coming from. So I went to test drive it, and it's like the coolant temperature gauge is just straight pegged, and there's like not a single drop of coolant in it, and it doesn't have any. The brakes just go straight to the floor when I press the brakes on the test drive. I like start pulling out, and I'm like having to feather the throttle because I just want to die, and I went to hit the brakes and just straight to the floor. So I drove it like up. I drove it like up, and then I pulled into a little parking lot and did a little like loop, and I like looked both ways before I started to pull out, because I was having to use the handbrake as a brake. And I looked both ways, and I was just like, I'm gonna just keep going. And I just went back and like just pulled the handbrake and kind of came to a stop. Then I got out, and there was no fluid whatsoever in the master cylinder. But the guy that we bought it from literally had no idea that what was actually wrong with it. Like if I said, "Hey, there's no brake fluid," and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I honestly had no idea."
The crappy thing is, he bought it from his friend.
Right, and he bought it from his friend. So like, there's definitely people out there that screw people like that. But for the, I mean, I don't know. For the most part, from my experiences, there's more. Well, I don't know if I'd say there's more good people than bad people, because usually people are just trying to make a buck when they sell cars. But this kid had no idea. But like, I don't know, everyone that I've ever dealt with, like, really straightforward with their cars.
So the biggest thing is,
be careful.
Right, especially if you're new into this and you're like, you're like trying to start doing something, like, don't be afraid to. We get some barky dogs. Don't be afraid to like ask questions and for
something
people.
seems off. Assume something else is off.
Right, especially if they're lying about it.
Yeah, and shady, dodgy.
The biggest thing is that you don't ever have to feel ashamed to ask a question. I mean, like I said, we've all been there before. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Right.
So it is what it is. Just who knows? Ask someone a question. You might even make a friend like Cody. So
Right.
Yeah.
Just let them out. But I get a lot of DMs every day. I get probably 20 plus. And I try to answer all of them, and I like try to reach out to everybody that DMs me and respond to like what they're asking me, just because I like to try to help people. And I'm not, sometimes you DM people and they never answer you.
He will not send you private pictures of himself.
No, I don't do that. But sometimes you like DM people and they like don't DM you back because they think they're too good for you or something like that.
that's the biggest thing that I run into as well. So.
It's like the egos are just so elevated.
Exactly.
So that's definitely the number one.
But don't ask him like basic questions you should have found on like eBay or on Google. Like, what kind of intake should I get for my car?
Right.
Yeah, go find that yourself. Like,
yeah, definitely stuff like that.
Don't ask him wheel specs either.
I don't care to share those. But yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to ask and everything like that. So that's definitely the thing you run into most is the egos of the car scene.
And hopefully that doesn't deter you from car shows. Like when you go to these car shows, you'll see big names and stuff like that. Honestly, they're probably the biggest sweethearts, at least the ones that I met. So definitely don't be afraid to like come up to us, say hi. Like we're just humans, like just like you and I. So don't be afraid to say hello. Ask us questions. Just be friendly. As long as you're cool, we'll be cool with you as well. So yeah, that's my takeaway or giveaway or whatever.
Cool.
What about you?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
I'm just
final words.
My thing is just enjoy it. You gotta. Life is a lesson. You're always learning something new every day. Don't ever be afraid of what other people have to say or think or anything like that. Just do it for yourself. Do what you want to do. Do what satisfies your desires. And just, if you want to be into cars, you want to learn, you want to do all these things, don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you get that snob that just thinks he's too good for you, well, then obviously he's just not worth anybody's time in the first place.
Right.
But, like I said, just enjoy it. And you're going to go through trial and errors. There's always going to be good and there's going to be bad. And that's the thing about life. It's just, life and cars and everything, you learn. Every day is a learning lesson. And if you're not learning, then why are you living? And that's kind of...
Dang, so deep.
That's kind of my thing.
So deep. Yeah. Brad, what about you, Eric?
Oh, shit. Yeah. You just basically just said it all.
Yeah. Words of wisdom.
That, yeah.
Words of wisdom.
That's why you're called Wiz.
We're going to trademark that.
We're gonna have a segment, Words with Wisdom.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, I guess that really wraps up things today with the Teriyaki Boys.
Yeah.
So
I enjoy the invite. I enjoy this journey.
I didn't really have, I wanted to start this, I kind of got everything set up and wanted to start it, so.
Yeah.
I
and it's only going to progress from here. It's only going to get better.
So yeah, again, I mean, this is Scene Points podcast, and again, we're just trying to like put faces to the names and really bring out the personal side of the car scene. I mean, obviously, like you may have seen any of these people at a local car show. Obviously, if you're not from Louisville or if you don't like go to the, I mean, I know a lot of these guys go to like the Slamden of car shows and kind of like regional. If you're not from here, then you don't really know these people maybe. But if you do from Instagram and you follow them on Instagram and stuff, now you at least have a personality to put them with. Because right now you see what they post on Instagram. You just see a snapshot. So you don't really get a full in-depth look into their life. So maybe this will bring some like personal aspect to it, and that's really what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
So
we're friendly people. We'll talk to anybody. I might be drunk, but
well, final words. Definitely show us some love on the Southern Roots page. So Southern Roots 2K on Instagram, Southern Roots 2K I think on Facebook. I don't know what. Do you know? That should be
just Southern Roots.
Yeah, it should be just Southern Roots, and then obviously my personal page, Rufio RUFIO 726.
Yeah, I'll put a little at the end. I'll put a little thing.
Put it on the
with all the Instagrams and everything. All right, and some links and stuff.
Get some followers for this guy.
What for who?
For you.
I don't
see this pretty face.
I got too much. Too much
going
on my plate.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cody Mason, for bringing us aboard, letting us be the first first people for your pilot, you know, cast and whatnot. And then, oh.
No, should we do it?
Should you do that? I don't think we're ready for it. So hold up. So for the people that don't know the Teriyaki Boys, or for the people that do know the Teriyaki Boys, Eric here has a kind of a signature move for the Teriyaki Boys. So I'm gonna, yeah, don't worry about it. You're gonna learn. So we're gonna send it off with Wiz. So any last words, Cody?
Yeah, no, just subscribe to the YouTube and follow the Instagram. And again, we're trying to come out on iTunes, but we're kind of having some difficulty there. But yeah, so just send it off.
All right, send it off, Wiz.
Teriyaki, disassemble.
Good.
Hell yeah.